2015 MX2 World Championship was played out between two teenagers, but both Pauls Jonas and Tim Gajser found a deeper strength as they battled for the title for the first time. As always, the favourite to win was Jeffrey Hurlings, but he knew he wasn't anywhere near ready when he lined up in Qatar.
It's been a crazy hell of a ride. I mean, breaking a femur is a big thing, so it's the biggest bone of your body. So it took a while to get back from it, but we made it to Qatar and just try to go out and do our best. It's the first time I'm really emotional about a win, and it just means so much to me because I've never been going through so many bad things, and it's been tough, but glad to be here.
Hurlings got his fairy tale win in Qatar and Thailand in round 2, but things started to get away from him at round 3 in Argentina. A collision with his teammate Jonas wiped him out of race 1, and he had to refocus in race 2 with no chance of getting the overall. He got the win and the red plate, but notice was served. This would be no picnic for the Bullet, as at round 4, Tim Gajser rode the race of his life.
Three laps before the finish I did mistake, almost crash, and then also the lap riders was in front of me and they blocked me a little bit. Jeffrey gained some seconds and he closed really on my wheel, real wheel, and it was game on. Then in the last lap he made a mistake, he crashed, and then actually I didn't know it. I was just pushing hard till the check and flag. It was really something special, you know, to win a GP for first time. Actually, at first I didn't believe that I did it, but then when I hear everybody around the track, and then I know it that I did, and it was just unbelievable.
Jeffrey passed me, I say, oh, I will try to follow him. In my head, I was thinking like, damn, you don't like the pressure from the Swiss chocolate. I was like, man, why I make this mistake? Because, you know, you're just out there trying to win and you just said to yourself, stay out of trouble, and then you went down and you're like really disappointed yourself, but then at the same moment you try to regroup, you know, and work your tail off and get back to the front and, you know, hopefully win that moto. So at that moment I was pretty disappointed at myself. Middle of the moto I was thinking a bit like, okay, now I don't make the same mistake than the first one. I don't crash, I stay on my wheels. Use my legs, don't sit on the bike. It was really difficult, sand everywhere, eating sand. I wanted to be right on his back wheel, so when I would down on the step down, I would be right on his back wheel. I just went behind him, got the turn off, you know, really wheelie the waves, and then jumped past him. So it was a clean and good pass.
one moment I saw Dylan inside of me. I was really surprised because I didn't hear him. And he just passed me, then I make mistakes in the wave and I close the throttle and I go really too short in the triple and hit my head on the underbar. I say I don't want to finish 6th. Now I feel good, physically I'm good. I don't want to make mistakes and okay, I can come back on TCA and I give everything. Yeah, maybe I was a bit too late on that.
At one point when I got into the lead, you hear the people screaming and shouting and they're really trying to push you forward. First motor was felt like it got handed over to me, and second motor I really had to fight for it, so that felt good.
A double win in Valkenswaard was a given for Herlings, but it was another rider that came to the fore as Herlings hit the deck in Spain. It was Valentin Guillod who notched up his first overall, and he backed it up with a daring win in the UK. The Swiss rider was a new man on the Yamaha, and people began to wonder if he could be champion.
Sometimes people ask me, hey, we can still call you Valentin. I say, you know, I'm still the same. I just won 2 GP, but I'm still the same guys. And I just have a bit more respect from people who before didn't say hello, but now they were thinking I was a funny guy, you know, just laughing all the time. But now they can see that I work hard.
For the second weekend in a row, Valentin Guillod will start from pole after taking his standing construct Yamaha Yamalube machine to the qualifying race victory ahead of Tixier and Gajser. Jeffrey Herlings crashed out and would have a poor gate pick, but it didn't stop the Dutchman from sweeping down into turn 1, just behind the 338 of David Herbertot, who ran wide though, handing the foxhole shot to Herlings. 2 French riders fell at the back, Robin Capel and Alexis Verhaeghe, but up front, Herlings was in charge as the 2 Kimiya Yamahas of Benoit Paturel and Damon Growlers battled in the early stages of the race just outside the top 10. Tixier found his way past the fast-starting Herbertot. Jonas fell at the bottom of the hill, out of 7th and back down to 12th. Eventually he would get back to 7th, but Valentin Guillod, after making a poor start, was on the charge as well and soon carving his way through the field, passing the likes of Tonkov and Petrov. Jeremy Siwa was also battling in there as well, just outside the top 10, but then he made this move on Petrov at the bottom of the hill. It all went wrong and he collected Benoit Paturel as well. Siwa would eventually finish in 10th, Paturel down in 20th as Herlings crashed out of the lead. A loss in concentration left the KTM rider on the floor, and it wasn't just Guillod that went through, it was Tixier as well, who was the new leader. Guillod sensed his opportunity and hard charged his way down the inside of the Frenchman to take the lead, and a couple of laps later it was Herlings through into 2nd, and he went then after Valentin Guillod on the Yamaha. 4 laps from home and Herlings made this pass, but it didn't quite stick. He would have to wait another few corners to make it happen, and eventually the pass came just into the final corner at the end of lap 17, and Herlings went on to win ahead of Guillod and Tixier. The French GP was in Villars-sous-Écot, 80 kilometres from Guillod's house, and everyone thought he would win again, but race 2 was hard to watch. Guillod would win again in the Czech Republic, but the wind had left his sails for a time, while Herlings proved a point over Gajser to take the win. Herlings was in control with 6 riders vying to topple him, but after what happened in 2014, nobody expected that lightning would strike twice. Anstey charged down into turn 1. Hold a tight line through the inside, but it was neck and neck with the 92 of Valentin Guillod as they charged down into turn 2. Anstey grabbing the foxhole shot, but look how tight it was here. Anstey backed off on the entry into turn 2. Guillod ran wide, Anstey was through into the lead. But then Guillod made a mistake. He lost the front end through turn 3 and went down. The Yamaha rider picked himself up at the back, but a few corners later, he was down again. Max Anstey was a clear leader on his Kawasaki. David Puchas was second, his teammate behind him in third, but Puchas got it all wrong towards the end of the lap and remounted in 11th place. Tim Gajser started in 5th, made this pass on Jeremy Seward to get into 4th, and he would advance no further in the race as Julian Lieber fell from 8th. Harry Kulas was having another good ride. He started 3rd and maintained that pace throughout the whole race. Paul Jonas was 2nd behind Anstey, but could do nothing about the Kawasaki rider in race 2, and it was Anstey who charged to the line to take a double moto win ahead of Jonas and Harry Kulas. Hurlings was out, his challenge a thing of the past. Who would step up to take on the future? 6 riders had the chance, not one of them made it look easy. By round 17, we had only 2 riders left in contention. Gajser had the red plate, and it was up to Jonas to turn his look around. Was he nervous?
No, that's just another race. For sure, I'm gonna do the best, and that I think many people think that I cannot do it. So I'll try to prove that I'm wrong.
As the riders headed down to the first turn, it wasn't a bad start for Paul Jonas, slightly better than Tim Gajser, who looked across to see the 41 running up the inside of him. But there was drama at the first corner as Petrov, Guillod, Van Donnik and Kulas all ran wide, allowing Covington to sneak the foxhole shot. But he too ran wide, and that opened the door for Paul Jonas in what were very difficult conditions indeed. Jonas chose not to go out in the morning warm-up session, didn't go out on the sighting lap, and was riding blind, but pulling clear of Max Anstey and Benoit Paturel. Tim Gajser, meanwhile, was in 4th position, but then lost a position when he fell on the finish line jump at the start of lap 3. Thomas Covington made his way through, but Gajser very lucky to rejoin the race with his shoulder intact. All the while, Gajser knew that with Jonas ahead of him, that championship lead was starting to disappear. Julian Lieber had one of those days, unfortunately. This one of many crashes, taking him out of 8th place, but Gajser in the closing stages started to reel in the American Thomas Covington in a battle for 4th position. But then he pushed too hard, ran wide, made 1 or 2 mistakes. So too did Paul Jonas, and almost fell in exactly the same place as Tim Gajser earlier on in the race. But he managed to hold on and take his first ever win in MX2 and closed to within 4 points of a frustrated Tim Gajser. He won race 1 in Mexico, but then this happened. One lap down, Jonas struggled on with his dreams in tatters. Thomas Covington rode his luck and got a fine maiden Grand Prix win. Gajser had to just hold it together for one more round. He led by 18 with 50 on the table, and Jonas was prepared to make him work for it for the final turn.
It's just cool, you know, that it was battle for the championship and the final runs between us. We are still young, 18, 19 years old, and it was just amazing. And what I like it was okay, we have fight. We were fighting for the title, but it was really clean, you know. Also today, it was clean racing, you know, without any dirty moves, you know, and that's what makes motocross really nice sport. It was a little bit emotional, you know, when I went over there last lap, when I saw in the pit lane, you know, all my mechanics, the family, all the guys over there, you know, it was just amazing feeling. And then, you know, crossing the finish line for the final time in 2015 was just amazing, you know. On the beginning, we didn't expect that, you know. We have pretty tough first half of the season. Many times I didn't finish the races, you know. It was tough, but on the end everything went really good. You know, we changed something with my dad in the relationship, and we are just teenagers, and you know, I was trying to do a little bit on my own, but you know, see that without him I can, you know, I cannot be so good like when he helped me, and we was fighting a little bit, and you know, just so thankful that we stayed together. We changed something between each other, relationship, and you know, the second half of the season went really good, you know. It was tough, you know, but we went through these tough times, and you know, now I think my family and myself, we are living the dreams. Being good on the races, I think I pay back him and all my family, and that's just amazing.
Romain Febvre, the rookie, defied all expectations to win the MXGP title in 2015.
It's everything to me. Since I was young, I dream about that every day, you know. So when you get your first title, when you realize your dream, it's something really special. And you know, I know that everybody cannot realize this dream, you know.
The first race, and also in Thailand, the second race, You know, to see the difference between the other rookies, you could already see a big gap between Romain and all the other guys that stepped up from the MX2 class.
First blood in Qatar went to an old hand, Max Nagl, and with it, the red plate. Nagl was hurt by the heat though in Thailand and lost the red plate to Gajser. But the real news was the rampage of MXGP newcomer Ryan Villopoto, making waves after a horrible set of races in Qatar.
I mean, Qatar might as well have not happened, but you know, myself and a little bit of bike setup, and we had some little problems, but you know, as for you know, just the whole weekend started off a little bit wrong. But then Thailand, we went back, we were able to get some better settings and come back and do Thailand, and that one was a much better weekend.
Villopoto's run was short, as Argentina was a happy place for Max Nagl on the Husqvarna.
The gate dropped and the MXGP riders charged down into turn 1. It was on board here with Ryan Villopoto. Didn't make the best start, but he was able to hang around the inside as Sean Simpson grabbed that foxhole shot. He ran wide though, going into turn 2 and opened the way for Clement de Sau. So the Belgian led on the very first lap. Ryan Villopoto was in 4th place, then lost another 2 positions in quick succession, and he was pushed back down to 6th and had to work his way past the likes of Jeremy Van Horbeek, number 89. That got him up into 4th place, and then he went after Sean Simpson. Simpson made it a little bit more difficult for the American though. Ryan Villopoto tried on several occasions, thought he had the pass for 3rd, but once he was there, Simpson fought right back. Jeremy Van Horbeek overshot, and that allowed Max Nagl through. And then a lap later, Van Horbeek was sent sprawling to the deck. Max Nagl was the man on form though. He'd come from outside of the top 10 and was soon onto the rear wheel of Ryan Villopoto, challenging for 3rd place. He made the pass going into the right-hander into the rhythm section, and then he went after Antonio Cairoli, who in turn was going after Clement de Sau in the battle for the lead. Cairoli thought he'd found a way around the outside of the Suzuki, but going out of turn 2, de Sau chose a neat line back down the inside, squared off the turn, forced Cairoli wide, and the Belgian was back in the lead. But then it all went wrong for Cairoli on the final lap as he closed in on the Suzuki. A scrub that went wrong sent him sprawling to the deck. He managed to pick it up, keep the engine running, but it was de Sau who won race 1. Cairoli was 2nd, Nagl 3rd.
For many, race 2 in Neukölln was the race of the season, with the 4 championship favourites head-to-head. Nagl took the overall, de Sau kept him honest, and Cairoli and Villopoto were once more there just trying to get into the hunt for the red plate. A plate that Nagl was more than happy to wear.
Yeah, I like it because that's a bit paying off, you know, when you make good results, people start being interested in you. And when we said, like, in the winter it was all about Tony and Villopoto, nobody was talking about me or us. So I always say that action speaks louder than words. And now I finally could make some good results and the people start asking. So it's nice, I like it, yeah.
The weight of expectation was on Ryan Villopoto, and at the first Euro round at Pietramarata in Italy, tens of thousands turned out to see him race. What they actually saw was something for motocross history. Villopoto was down and out, unceremoniously dumped from his MXGP campaign, and as De Salle also tasted dirt, Max Nagl went on to win another GP and extend his championship lead.
Paulin was the fastest in qualifying 1 week after his teammate was fastest in Italy. Suddenly the Hondas are finding some kind of pace in MXGP. Down the start straight into turn 1. Clément De Salle looked to have got a good jump, but it was Max Nagl on the Red Bull Ice 1 Husqvarna who grabbed the foxhole shot. Tony Cairoli, Red Bull KTM Factory Racing, and Paulin right in his wheel tracks. Paulin struck first though, finding a way past Cairoli to the inside at the top of the first hill as he went after the German Max Nagl. And then towards the end of the lap, Paulin was through, got good drive through the rhythm section, and in the blink of an eye, the Honda rider was leading the race. Nagl and Cairoli continued to chase down the Frenchman. Cairoli finding his way past Nagl as Romain Febvre crashed out of a top 10 position. Cairoli went on after Paulin. De Salle was a little bit further back in 5th on his Rockstar Energy Suzuki, trying to keep pace with the leading quartet. Tony Cairoli though got it wrong, crashed out of 2nd position spectacularly. This was lap 4. He was very lucky to walk away, but his bike wasn't so lucky. He was unable to rejoin the race, the first DNF for the world champion. Picked up a hand injury in that as well, but no such problems for Paulin. Just like he was in qualifying, looking silky smooth. A good performance for the 28 on the Monster Energy Kawasaki of Tyler Rattray, but Sean Simpson eventually found his way through. Simpson going on to take 5th ahead of the South African former world champion. Golden Hoff and Dijker battled over 7th and 8th as Nagl looked good in 2nd place, but was not able to do anything about Paulin, while Paulin's teammate Bobryshev lucky to escape this little moment in the closing stage of the race, but he did manage to hold on to 3rd. The French fans were out in force though, as Paulin romped to victory in race 1 from Nagl and Bobryshev.
It had been a tough start to the year for Honda new boy Paulin, but things were about to get a lot better in the sands of Valkenswaard. Things were certainly looking up for the Frenchman, but he was about to be overshadowed by a countryman as we moved on to Spain. Cairoli switched it to the 450 and may have won the overall, but it was Febvre who swung into view with a maiden podium, passing both Nagl and Cairoli in the process. Cairoli won the overall in the UK, but it was Febvre who stole the show with his maiden race win, and we were ready for a legendary championship run. And then bad things started to happen. First, De Salle couldn't keep his shoulders in their sockets. Then Cairoli crashed in front of his home crowd in qualifying. And Nagl tried to match him by breaking his leg in Germany. 3 riders out of the fight in 3 rounds.
as the gate dropped. Gauthier Paulin charged down into turn 1, but it was Antonio Cairoli on the Red Bull KTM who pulled the foxhole shot. Tyler Rattray and Jose Boutron fell at the first turn. Bobryshev ran wide, allowing his teammate through into second behind Tony Cairoli. And the French fans loved every minute of it. The HRC rider always had Cairoli in his sights, whilst behind them in third, Dean Ferris and Romain Febvre gave chase. Clément de Saux realised the shoulder injury was just too much and would withdraw from the race as Febvre started to make his move. He passed the Australian Ferris to get himself into third. The Australian then came under attack from Evgeny Bobryshev. The big Russian made his move at the bottom of the hill as Gauthier Paulin was out of second position and out of the race. His HRC pulling to a halt at the bottom of the hill. Romain Febvre, though, the next best French rider, found himself in second as championship leader Max Nagl was fighting through from 11th. Eventually got himself up onto the rear wheel of Jeremy Van Hoorbeek. He would come home in 6th in race 1. Tony Cairoli, though, he continued to push on and he was being hounded all the way by the Yamaha of Romain Febvre. The French fans sensing an upset here in the first race as he got closer and closer to the rear wheel of the 222. Carving his way through the deep ruts. He tried, but he was not able to find a way through. And in the end, it was Cairoli who hung on. Febvre second, Bobryshev was third.
While the historical favourites took themselves out of the equation, we all wondered who would fill the void. Step forward, Romain Febvre at his home Grand Prix in France.
The best moment, for sure, it was to get the title, but the best race, it was in France for my first GP victory and at home. It's always amazing to win at home, so the ground was just amazing. From far, it's the best moment in the season.
It wasn't all plain sailing for Febvre, with Cairoli desperate to race despite his injury. The Italian GP was a nasty mud race, and one that caught Febvre out in race 2.
I remember when I jump, I take the takeoff and I jump on the side, I say, oh, that's not good. And I was thinking, yeah, if I'm not injured by this crash, yeah, I'm really lucky. After I could ride with the bike, the handlebar bent and without front brake.
Despite all that, he raced and won the GP, and it was a true champion's performance and set him on a roll for Germany and Sweden.
Antonio Cairoli and Dean Ferris duked it out for the foxhole shot once again, but this time it was Cairoli who managed to exit turn 1 at the head of the field. Ferris was right there in second. Paulin was third as Bobryshev crashed at the first corner. Van Hoorbeek fell early on, would pick himself up in 11th, as Boutron also fell, this time from 5th place for the Spaniard. Cairoli was doing a great job hanging on in second position despite his arm injuries. While Koldenhoff was being caught and passed, Bobryshev was charging through the field. That pass on Frossard put him into 11th as Philipparts went out. Tony Cairoli, though, started to feel the pressure. First of all, it was Paulin who went through, and then Febvre. Cairoli was suddenly in 4th as Paulin and Febvre battled it out at the head of the field. Dean Ferris was having a great ride on his Husqvarna, but even he couldn't keep back the 461 of Romain Febvre as he moved into second. Ferris at that point was in third. Todd Waters found himself being pushed aside, so too did Dean Ferris. Cairoli been pushed back into 5th. And this charge by Strybos moved him into 3rd, but it was Paulin who won the race. Febvre, though, won his 3rd Grand Prix.
In Latvia, Paulin tried his best and was able to reduce the gap at the top before we attacked the deep sands of Lommel. Where a certain Scotsman had plans to ruin the party, stepped forward Sean Simpson.
Being the first or the second KTM, in the second part of the season, it brings no pressure to myself. I'm just going out to do my job on the track, and it's nice to feel like I'm, a good asset to KTM, and it's nice to be, racking up them points for KTM as well. I know when my day comes, I will be up front, and I do know I have the speed to run up front. Recently my starts have been letting me down a lot, but I think, get the right track, the right day, and I can show everyone that I can run up front and win motos and get podiums too.
Sean Simpson was the winner of the qualifying race on Saturday, and he tried to get the whole shot, but it was Romain Febvre who burst into the lead through the first couple of corners, but Simpson was right there on his tail in that second position. Launched himself over the quad jump and into the lead at the very first attempt, and right behind him Gajser Paulin also found his way briefly into second, but Kevin Strybos was having problems all by himself, falling at turn 2. The tough, deep sand of Lommel, proving a test for everybody, including Davide Guinieri. Strybos on a charge through the field as Romain Febvre buckled under the pressure. Gajser Paulin, his closest challenger in the championship chase, eased on by as his teammate went to work on the 259 of Glenn Coldenhoff. Coldenhoff having a steady ride, started in 6th, lost a few positions before gaining ground and returning to that 6th place. But up front, Sean Simpson was making it look ever so easy. Paulin was 2nd, Febvre 3rd, but Bobryshev falling out spectacularly through the wave section. He lost 4th place to Jeremy Van Horbeke, and the two would go at it once more in the closing stages of the race. Romain Febvre threw his Yamaha down the track, and the championship leader was lucky to maintain track position in 3rd behind Gajser Paulin. Paulin making a mistake of his own in the final stages of the race as Bobryshev charged down the inside of Van Horbeke to take back 4th, but not for long. Van Horbeke found his way back through, pushing the Russian back into 5th. Glenn Coldenhoff had to settle for 6th place ahead of his Suzuki counterpart Kevin Strybos, but it was all about Sean Simpson in moto number 1. Took a quick look back to see where Gajser Paulin was. He was a handful of seconds adrift of the Hitachi Revo KTM rider. Suddenly, Sean Simpson was a race winner in 2015.
They were prophetic words from Simpson, but his confidence was well placed as he stormed to a maiden double in Lommel's sandy quagmire. Simpson was untouchable and Paulin tried to keep his hopes alive, but Febvre was just too strong and achieved something truly special when he took the title in Assen with 2 rounds to spare.
A great drop for race 2. It was Tony Cairoli on the Red Bull KTM who streaked ahead of everybody else to grab the foxhole shot on the exit of the Talladega turn. Webb was right there in second, and it wasn't long before Webb found his way past Cairoli, but Cairoli wasn't about to lay down. Found his way back past Webb briefly and started to pull clear of the American, whilst behind him Josh Grant, Evgeny Bobryshev were starting to go bar to bar. Bobryshev, third place in the championship confirmed behind his teammate Gauthier Paulin after his results in race 1. A mistake from Webb saw him go left instead of right at the top of the hill. That allowed Febvre an easy route through, and Febvre then went after Bobryshev. They battled for third behind Cairoli. Bobryshev found a way through. Eventually, so too did Romain Febvre. It was this pass at the inside that saw Febvre go through. Cairoli then dropped out of the race. But Febvre had one thing on his mind, trying to win this American Grand Prix. Glenn Coldenhoff circulated in 6th. Van Hoorbeek was 7th in the final race of the year. And Gauthier Paulin again just inside the top 10 in 8th. But Josh Grant was putting on a spectacular display for the home fans here. Tried to pull clear of Romain Febvre, and it was the USA versus Europe. Evgeny Bobryshev came under pressure from Cooper Webb. Webb eventually going through into 3rd. And towards the end of the race, Bobryshev lost out to Dean Wilson, the Russian having to settle for 5th. 2 laps to go. Febvre lost the front end, lost too much time, and that was enough to give Josh Grant an easy route to the checkered flag. He was the winner in race 2. Febvre was 2nd, Webb 3rd, but the overall belonged once more to Romain Febvre for the 8th time this season. 2 Americans though, Grant and Webb rounded out the podium. Febvre, Paulin and Bobryshev, the top 3 in the 2015 MXGP World Championship standings.
When you get the title and when you was the best in a season, that's, yeah, mentally changed something, you know that what you did before, it's on a good way. So I will work on that for sure. This year it came, the result came so fast, and I again make a big step on my progression, on the speed, on everything. So I feel that I'm not on my limit, I can still push myself and be more fast and consistent. So I think that's a good point. Yeah, because I think every year I can do one step farther and be better.
It's race day, the time when the talking stops, the racing starts. It was an explosive start. MXGP and MX2. 40 riders blasting down the start straight into turn 1. And it was number 7, Justin Barsha of Team USA, who grabbed the foxhole shot. The roar of the French crowd urging on their home riders, but they were just inside the top 10. Gajser, Paulin on board, making rapid progress in 5th place. Barsha led though. Ben Townley was in 2nd as Paulin looked to make more progress. 3 riders fell, including Todd Waters, while Paulin got stuck halfway around the lap. He ran into the back of Valentin Guillod, but didn't lose too much time. His teammate Marvin Musquin, though, was on the charge and already in 3rd place. And the French fans were in euphoria. He then caught Ben Townley of New Zealand to jump into 2nd position and then set his sights on the American, Justin Barsha. Barsha made a slight mistake. He hit neutral in one of the tight corners, and that allowed Musquin into the lead. The 2 riders then traded positions on more than one occasion, whilst Gajser Paulin lost the front end, took Max Nagl with him, and fell from 5th place down to 7th, which is where he would remain. Barsha tried another move down the inside of Musquin, both riders making more than their fair share of mistakes. Barsha eventually found his way around the outside in the narrowest of gaps. Another mistake from the American allowed Musquin through once more. This epic battle going on and on. Musquin wondered if he could hold on. Barsha doing all he could. Eventually his opportunity came at the end of the start straight, and on lap 11 he was through once more. Musquin tried and tried, but it was all to no avail. He got it wrong over the jump, cross-rutted and went down hard. He lost 2nd position as Bobryshev went by, and later in the race Max Nagl of Germany also found his way past the Frenchman, who eventually came home in 4th place. But it was plain sailing for the number 7 of Justin Barsha and Team USA as he cruised to victory in race 1 ahead of Bobryshev, Nagl, Musquin and his teammate Jeremy Martin. After race 1, the USA were leading on 6 points, France 2nd on 11, and Team Switzerland 3rd on 19. The Swiss team chasing their first podium since Namur in 1965. A hard charge down the start straight saw the number 9, the American, Cooper Webb, grabbed the foxhole shot as Dean Ferris crashed on the exit of turn 2. Jeremy Seawer was buried in the pack. The number 3 of Romain Febvre was well placed, and his teammate did well to avoid a slight problem as Jeremy Van Hoorbeek almost landing on Mathis Caro. Cooper Webb led. The number 12 of Dean Wilson of Great Britain. The 6 of Van Hoorbeek was in 3rd, and Romain Febvre, though, was soon past his fellow Yamaha rider and into 3rd and going after Musquin and Webb. First he had to deal with the number 12 of Wilson, who made it very difficult for the Frenchman. But his time came, and with that pass he was into 2nd. All eyes were once again on the battle between the American and the French. Julien Lieber of Belgium came in. He had a crash, bent the front disc, and was out of 9th as his teammate was doing all he could to try and pick up some points for Team Belgium. Musquin and Jeremy Martin, the French and the American rider, were banging bars, but Musquin found his rhythm and found his way past the number 6 of Van Hoorbeek to get himself into 3rd. Meanwhile, Febvre found his way past Webb to take the lead. Musquin was well placed there in 3rd position, but could do nothing to close down on his teammate Romain Febvre or Cooper Webb as Jeremy Seawer struggled in 10th. Cooper Webb fell whilst trying to keep onto the rear wheel of Febvre, and that allowed Musquin to close in on the American, but Webb responded and pulled clear of Marvin Musquin. Romain Febvre, though, was victorious in race 2, Webb second, Musquin third, and France were closing back in on the Americans. After 2 races, the USA on 13, France on 15. That gap just 2 points. But in third, Estonia. Their best position in this competition, 4th. They were looking to better that. Could they do it in France? Charging down into turn 1, Ben Townley getting another good start just behind the Swede, Philip Bengtsson, who got the foxhole shot. It was a frantic first few corners as Bobryshev and Paulin battled it out. Bengtsson almost landing on there by the number 3 of Romain Febvre as Townley got himself into second, and a mistake from Paulin. Townley made that pass to take the lead, but not for long, and it wasn't until he got to the top of the hill that the Kiwi eventually found his way clear of Bengtsson, and at the same time Romain Febvre of France moved into second position. The French were well placed, the Americans not so. After their 2 hole shots in the first 2 races, it was starting to fall apart for the Americans as Febvre took the lead on lap 3. He couldn't shake off the challenge, though, of Ben Townley. Ken de Dijker for Belgium, suddenly getting the Belgians back into contention for a podium position as Barsha put in a hard charge as well, coming through the field. Dean Ferris made a great start. He was up as high as 4th for Team Australia, as Barsha found his way clear of de Dijker. He got his teammate behind him. He allowed Webb to close in as he was the faster of the 2 Americans, but then Webb made this mistake from 6th. He stalled the bike, lost a lot of time and possibly some momentum to get himself on the rear wheel of Gauthier Paulin for a crucial point in the closing stages of the race. Romain Febvre couldn't do any more than he was doing, and Gauthier Paulin was circulating inside the top 5. He made a great move on Ferris to get himself up to 4th place, as Barsha also found his way past the Australian, and then he fell. Paulin and Barsha banged bars, and the American eventually went through on the number 1. That was 1 more point clawed back for Team USA in what was coming down to the final laps of this final moto. Febvre still struggling to stay more than a couple of seconds clear of Ben Townley. Got on the gas in the final stages of the race and pulled clear to win. Townley was second, Barsha third, Bobryshev was 4th. But more importantly, Gauthier Paulin crossed the line to take 5th, which was enough for the French to take victory for the 3rd time, and a successful defence of the Chamberlain Trophy and the Monster Energy Motocross of Nations. The French stood proudly on the top step, flanked by Team USA in 2nd and Team Belgium in 3rd. What a day for the French, and what a great advert for motocross all over the world. Team France are the Motocross of Nations champions again.